What's going on, fellow A-plusers? It's your boy Adam Perez. We're back once again with a brand new movie review. As today we're going to be getting into Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. This is in fact the sequel to a few years ago's Ghostbusters Afterlife, which, believe it or not, me and the girlfriend literally just watched like 2 or 3 weeks ago in order to go ahead and get prepared for this particular movie. After watching Ghostbusters Afterlife, which I really enjoyed, by the way, I was really bummed I didn't get the opportunity to see it in theaters, so I made it a point that I was not going to go ahead and pass up this opportunity and make sure that I saw Ghostbusters Frozen Empire in theaters. To be quite frank with you guys, man, I feel like I'm on a little bit of a roll. I got the opportunity to see two brand new movies last week. I think last Thursday I checked out Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, and then over the weekend, me and the girlfriend had the opportunity to finally check out Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. We've been really excited for this film. And honestly, it did not disappoint to me. Do I think it was as good as Afterlife? No, I certainly don't. But this movie certainly stands on its own, and I've really enjoyed sort of the injection of new life, if you will. The opportunity to have new characters, really branching off of the Spangler family tree, if you will. And I think that they've really rejuvenated this franchise. So I'm really looking forward to what the next film certainly might be after Frozen Empire. And if there is anything that I enjoyed about this movie more than I did Afterlife, well, I really had a good time with Afterlife. It really suffers from what I call the Force Awakens effect, in the sense that you're sort of rehashing story beats that we've seen sort of in the original, right? The return of Zool, the Gate Master, or the key master, the gatekeeper, if you will, sort of mentality, hitting some of the same beats towards the finale. So, while there certainly was newness to it, it felt like I kind of saw this movie before, just not in the city. You know what I mean? So, one of the challenges, or one of the things that I wanted to challenge Frozen Empire on, was really take a stab at new things. Take a big swing at creating something new storyline wise, giving us a villain that we've never seen before. And I got to tell you, when it comes to Frozen Empire, I think they do that in spades, man. I mean, I really love the swings in here. And just reading some of the interviews from Jason Reitman and Gil Keenan, that went ahead and wrote this film, I think they definitely took inspiration from the '90s Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters sort of cartoon. The idea that we got so many new ghosts and so much mythology and lore, and they wind up really sort of establishing that in here and giving us something new and something terrifying, to certainly say the least. So, guys, let's go ahead and get into this particular review. Look, I think I had been seeing some pushback for some people when it comes to Frozen Empire. Some of the critics talking about that this felt very much like a nostalgia fest because of the fact that we had returning cast members in here. And what I mean by that is really the original cast from Ghostbusters. I mean, you had Ernie Hudson in here, you had Bill Murray return. Even though Bill Murray wasn't in this movie very much, it was really Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd that did a lot of the heavy lifting as Ray and Winston in here. But I thought they felt perfectly right in this world. Like the team up between Ray along with podcast, I thought was a natural progression after what we saw, their connection that they had towards the end of Afterlife. I was really thrilled that podcast certainly came back. He wasn't as funny as I thought he was in Afterlife, but I really enjoyed the team up between him and Ray. Seeing Ernie, or I should say seeing Winston, take such a massive step forward in really growing Ghostbusters, in the sense of establishing like the lab, a new storage unit, seeing like the new weapons and stuff that they were certainly creating. So while it was a sense of nostalgia of like, hey, these characters are here, they definitely injected a sense of newness to it, and it made it feel like Ghostbusters actually wound up growing a little bit more. And look, maybe there were too many Ghostbusters in this movie, in the sense that like almost everybody had like a proton pack. I think if anything, I rather it had just been the new team that we had of Phoebe, Trevor, Mr. Gruberson, the guy that played Paul Rudd, along with Callie, the mom. It would have been really cool if they were the ones to kind of finish off the thread. But you clearly do have a big mashup of like a team up of the old Ghostbusters and the new Ghostbusters certainly together to go ahead and take down this foe. in that regards, maybe a little bit too much, but I thought storyline wise and beat wise, Winston and Ray really fit into this story extremely perfectly. And I think the fact that even Bill Murray as Venkman, not really having that much of a presence was actually a really big help to get other characters to kind of shine in here. And, I continue to really enjoy the dynamic between the characters, seeing Paul Rudd's character, Mr. Gruberson, kind of be sort of in that weird middle ground of like, am I still your boyfriend? I'm not quite your husband, but that makes me not quite Phoebe's father. So how do I address issues when Phoebe gets a little bit out of control, or I gotta sort of like reprimand her, sort of thing. So I thought that was a pretty cool arc for Mr. Gruberson, and then even kind of getting that acceptance towards the end of the movie. I mean, I don't want to say it gave me chills, but it was a heartwarming feeling for sure to kind of see his journey and how things have come when it comes to Phoebe and Trevor. I look at the Trevor and Slimer stuff in here, very similar to Slimer and Bakeman in the very first one. Foes, playful foes, if you will, but eventually maybe turning into something a little bit more. But for me, the villain in here really worked for me. I believe the villain's name was Garak. Um, Again, the lore that they established, taking us to the past in 1904, seeing Garak's presence sort of in New York City, how that tale kind of begins, if you will. Just the mystery behind Ray and podcast trying to figure out the truth about, what this mysterious item is and whatnot. And then having somebody like was it Pat Oswalt? I believe that's his name, Patton Oswalt, that was in this movie too, sort of as the librarian to kind of really break down the lore of Garak. I was eating it all up, honestly. And I think for me, this movie felt pretty dense. This movie only came in at about an hour and 55 minutes, but I honestly felt like I was getting a full like 2 hours of a movie. Like they did not miss a beat in regards to just great character moments, really solid storytelling in that regards. And I really had a blast with this. The Phoebe stuff, look, I will say the Phoebe stuff, I was kind of like, I don't want to say odded out about it, but I was trying to figure out like where they were going with this. Because for me, while I really enjoyed Phoebe in Afterlife, if there's any issues that I had with this movie, I just felt like Phoebe was just making some really terrible choices, um, and not really getting reprimanded for like for like what she did, right? Like everybody almost started to like coddle her a little bit towards the end in the sense of like, it's okay, it's okay. Like, no, you literally like threaten the city with what you wind up doing, like making the terrible decision to want to get closer to her new ghost friend. I think was just one of the more idiotic things that I've seen her do. And it was almost like they wanted to forgive her because her action then wound up leading to, the big debacle at the end of this particular movie. And so, while Phoebe does in fact sort of redeem herself and save the city, it's just like, damn, like she really did cost the city a ton. Like if there was any moment I was kind of on the mayor's side, I'm like, yeah, like Phoebe really was the cause of all this at the end of the day. So, look, people want to say, the ghost took advantage of her, or whatever the case may be. Like Phoebe did this to herself, and I honestly felt like there should have been more accountability for a character like Phoebe in this movie, quite frankly. But look, at the end of the day, when it comes to Phoebe, there is a sense of understanding that I have as to why she would feel so close to the ghost that she certainly did. I mean, look, she had sort of like a first encounter, if you will, in Afterlife, playing chess with her grandfather, Egon, and not even knowing that it was certainly him, right? Taking down the villain at the end of Afterlife and assistance with it. So there is a sense of like a connection to the spiritual life, plus to add on to the idea that when it comes to Phoebe, it's not easy for her to kind of make friends whatsoever. The only friend she truly has is podcast. And who's to know how often they get the opportunity to kind of see each other. But aside from that, she's very much a loner and still sort of like the weirdo girl. And then add on top of that the idea that she's sort of being, taken away from ghost busting, what's a girl to do sort of thing, right? When you feel alone and you already kind of feel weird, the idea of a ghost companion seems rather promising. Somebody that you could probably really easily connect with. So it doesn't surprise me, but her actions for somebody that's so incredibly brilliant to sort of let her feelings and her emotions kind of take over towards the end of this movie really left me scratching my head, and the lack of accountability that she wound up having for it, because it was like at the end of the day, she helped save the city, yay, she's a hero. Like, is she really? No, or she's just making up for her mistakes. And so I did have a little bit of an issue when it comes to that story beat. I enjoyed the humor in here. I will say, while I am a fan of Kumail Nanjiani, if I'm saying his name right, as the Nadim in here, the Fire Master, he did add some great levity to this movie and some great humor to this movie also. But towards the end, it just felt like luck, you know? I had some issues with it in that regards. I don't think that the humor was too much. I thought it really worked for this story, especially when you're dealing with such a heavy lore and mythology that Garak was certainly bringing to the table in here. But I was really surprised at the return of William Atherton, who played Walter in here. He was from the original Ghostbusters movie as an environmental protection agency guy, if I'm not mistaken, in the first Ghostbusters movie. So he's always had an issue with Ghostbusters. So the fact that now he's back, but this time as a mayor, it just felt like a great sort of antagonist in here to the Ghostbusters and what they were certainly trying to do for the city. So overall, man, really enjoyable movie. I had my issues with it. Again, the Phoebe stuff towards the end, the Fire Master stuff sort of towards the end as well. But I thought it had a really great story, really great balance of characters, really expanded the future of Ghostbusters, gave us some brand new technology, and some really great character moments and arcs in here for a lot of them. So overall, man, really enjoyed it. If anything, maybe later on this weekend I'll try and see if I can drop a report card for Ghostbusters Empire for you guys. But look, at the end of the day, these are simply just my A plus opinions. I always want to know yours, so let your thoughts be known in the comment section box below. And until next time, guys, do me a big favor. As always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A plus. We'll talk to you later. Bye.